Hello there, I am Catherine Nicholson and this is the Europe Report on France 24. Well, we're going to begin with that emotional goodbye from Theresa May earlier on, the UK's Prime Minister announcing that she will quit on June the 7th. This leaves her party looking for a new leader, and that person will of course oversee the next steps in the country's departure from the EU as well.
It will be for my successor to seek a way forward that honours the result of the referendum. To succeed, he or she will have to find consensus in Parliament where I have not. I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold. The second female Prime Minister, but certainly not the last. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
Well, let's round up some reaction from European leaders for you, starting in France with President Macron. Now, he said that he stands ready to work with a new British Prime Minister on all European and bilateral issues. However, he said he also wants clarity on the UK's approach to Brexit. Ireland's Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has told reporters that Brexit may be entering a dangerous new phase for Ireland if a Eurosceptic British Prime Minister is elected. In Spain, the acting government spokeswoman also apprehensive, saying a hard Brexit seems almost impossible to avoid. And in Germany, Angela Merkel's spokeswoman said that Germany and the EU as a whole are interested in a good solution being found in Britain to the Brexit issue. She clarified that a good solution means, for them, an orderly exit. Well, meanwhile, this man, the EU's chief Brexit negotiator, Michel Barnier, has told reporters he would like to express his full respect for Theresa May. He spoke of her determination in working towards an orderly withdrawal for the UK from the EU. Well, meanwhile, non-British EU citizens living in the UK who couldn't vote yesterday are being urged to complain to the country's electoral commission. Scores of Europeans said on Thursday that they had been unable to cast a ballot, like Matteo, an Italian who lives in London. Take a listen.
My wife and I had received the form at the same time, and we completed the form and returned the form at the same time. My wife was able to vote and I wasn't.
Well, the UK's Electoral Commission has said that there had been very short notice from the British government that it was taking part in the European elections, and according to them, this impacted on citizens' ability to participate. In another statement, the EU citizens' rights group, the 3 Million, has slammed the situation as outrageous and incompetent. Well, this Friday, campaigning has been wrapping up across the continent, and 2 more states have opened up their polling stations. The Czech Republic, or Czechia, as it's also known, voting today and tomorrow, with 8.2 million eligible to vote. Meanwhile, the Republic of Ireland has just over 3 million eligible voters. Now, they're going to be electing 13 MEPs, although 2 of those will have to wait until Brexit has happened before they officially start work. That's because they are 2 of the 27 seats that have already been earmarked for redistribution from Britain among other member states. Well, young people here in Paris, as well as Lisbon, Stockholm and a whole host of other cities, have been holding special marches against global warming today, hoping to get the attention of politicians. Well, these pictures come from central Paris a little earlier on. The young demonstrators' message was that the environment must be at the heart of all decision-making. Various action groups, charities, political parties and unions hoping for an extra large turnout, and they seem to have not been disappointed, with 2 days to go before France votes in the European election. Now, today brings us to the very final stop on our France 24 Europe tour. Our reporters have visited 11 EU countries, today rounding things off in Belgium. It is a founder member of the European Union, and its capital, Brussels, is known to many as the de facto capital of Europe as well. However, Brussels' image has taken on new connotations since it emerged that the 2015 Charlie Hebdo attacks in Paris were carried out by a cell based in the Brussels district of Molenbeek. 4 years on, authorities are working to improve this image and improve life for Molenbeek locals, where youth unemployment stands at 40%. Mohamed Farhat and Clovis Kasali report.
Molenbeek is one of the most deprived areas in Belgium, a tough place to be unemployed and lacking in qualifications. This workshop offers a leg up, a 6-week scheme for jobless men and women who left school early.
The person who's in front of you can't see, so you must respect your partner's pace and protect his environment and that of others. Now walk toward me and direct your partner.
The aim, boosting confidence as well as learning life skills.
80% qui ont ce qu'on appelle une sortie positive.
There's a positive outcome for 80% of participants. They either find an apprenticeship or a job or get a place in citizenship classes. In other words, something that will give a direction for their future.
The project is funded by local authorities and the European Union. Since the Paris attacks of 2015, Molenbeek is often linked to terrorism. The last surviving attacker, Salah Abdeslam, grew up here, right next to the town hall.
Bonjour.
Molenbeek's new mayor, Catherine Moreau, wants to turn a page and improve her neighbourhood's image. Erase the automatic assumption it's a home for radical Islam.
In fact, there's a tiny minority of people who made big mistakes. But the others here are extremely good people who deserve to have just as many chances in life. They deserve just as good a future as anyone else. So defending and restoring Molenbeek's image is really about giving them a bright future.
The socialist mayor believes arts and culture can be key in ending the stigma, and that Molenbeek has much to offer, with emerging young artists who already have a following.
We put on shows that bring together all kinds of audiences, local and regional. Every time people congratulate us and thank us for our welcoming attitude. They say they didn't know Molenbeek and didn't think it would be like this.
The European Regional Development Fund has spent €300 million since 2007 on developing and revitalising the area around the canal. But according to this security expert, it will take more to mend what some have labelled a haven for jihadists.
The situation has improved in Molenbeek, or at least in parts, thanks to large sums of money spent in the area around the canal. But you can't change in 2-3 years what is the result of 30-40 years of inaction.
The area and its 100,000 residents is only a few kilometres away from the European institutions. The contrast is stark. 40% of young people in Molenbeek are unemployed. That's twice the national rate. Our France 24 Europe tour finishes in Brussels. Those chosen in the EU elections will be here at the Parliament, representing and defending the interests of European citizens. Remember, you can find all of the reports from our tour on france24.com, and make sure to join us for our special coverage of the European elections on May 26. See you soon.
Well, it's also time for our very last European show and tell segment with the inimitable Roxane Rinel from our Europe desk. Hello there. You've brought a veritable picnic with you today, Roxane. Do take us through these items.
Well, I have a patchwork of EU products, really. Some Greek feta cheese, some Italian vinegar, French camembert, and even French red wine, of course. And you might notice that these have one thing in common, a little label. And that's how I'm going to tell you about how the EU protects regional products and specialties within the single market and beyond.
Now, I have to say, I have seen these before, but I'm not that clear on all the details of... There are different ones, right?
Right, and it's a quality guarantee mostly, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, some history. France, Italy, and Greece invented the concept of protected designations. The aim is to certify the geographical origin of some products and the savoir-faire specific to a region or historical recipe. Savoir-faire literally translates as the know-how of doing something. For example, a French foie gras only gets a label if it follows a particular production method, one that's written down and legally binding. There's even an authority in every country that checks up on it all.
Wow, what a job. So how did this become a European thing?
Well, when the single market was launched in the early 90s, it was decided that this concept would be harmonized and extended to the rest of the EU as well.
So the difference then between all these different designations, some are blue, some are yellow and red.
So the yellow and red one is the protected designation of origin one. To get it, all of your ingredients must come from the same geographic area, and your product must also be made in that area. For example, this French camembert was made in Normandy with milk that came from Norman cows.
It's hyper-local then, that one.
Hyper-local. Well, the second one is called the protected geographical origin. That means your product was made in a specific geographical area using a method specific to that area, but your ingredients might come from somewhere else. That's the case, for example, for this vinegar of Modena in northern Italy.
Okay.
And the last one is the guaranteed traditional specialty. For this one, it doesn't matter where you make the product. The recipe is what's important, like the Spanish Serrano ham or the Italian pizza napolitana.
So I know that these are super important to people who are fans of these products. But why are they so important? What do they actually bring?
Well, they guarantee quality standards for the products we are, as consumers, are buying. And it also makes a huge difference for the people making these using traditional methods, less industrial ones, really. It protects their products by marking the difference. So, for example, if you're looking for some really good cheddar cheese, well, you should look for these labels. Otherwise, you might end up with this.
I don't want to see it, Roxanne. I have to say, this is a particular point of contention for me. The name cheddar, I think I'm right in saying, it doesn't actually have protected European status unless it's West Country farmhouse cheddar, which is really, really specific. So that falls into one of your categories, doesn't it? It's got to be produced in one of 4 counties in the southwest of England and use milk sourced from those counties. Oh, you've prepared a map. That's lovely. Yeah, so when I see cheddar like that in the supermarket, I have to say I find it slightly upsetting. Does any of this have weight outside of the European Union, though?
It really does. For example, with the trade agreement between the EU and Canada, also known as CETA, some of these products can end up in Canadian supermarkets. Lucky Canadians. And this was actually one of the main victories in the CETA negotiations, because the EU got Canada to legally recognize the whole concept. For example, the CETA deal includes a list of some protected products. This has a direct consequence on the Canadian market. For example, they just simply cannot name a cheese Camembert of Normandy anymore, because that's now a protected name, or appellation, as we French like to say it.
Indeed. OK, well, I'm going to start a campaign for cheddar to get some special protection. It's my favourite cheese. Thank you so much, Roxanne, for that and for all of your show and tells throughout the last 2 weeks. Well, we are going to continue on now on a food theme, something that's very close to Europeans' hearts, as we know. Well, some of our favourite regional foods have also been subject to a little bit of fake news in the last few months. Our team decided to slice out the junk from the genuine. Here's Fact or Fake.
Is the EU messing around with Austrian schnitzel? That's what Austrian Chancellor Kurz suggested early in May 2019 in a statement released to the main Austrian press agency, APA. It's true that the EU does have strict food safety standards, but we couldn't find any about schnitzel. This isn't the first time Europeans' favourite snacks have been dragged into political rows. In December 2017, rumours swirled that the EU was planning to ban doner kebabs. The British newspapers Daily Express and Daily Telegraph were among those to spread the misleading report. In fact, the EU Parliament was considering restricting on health grounds a particular ingredient commonly but not exclusively found in kebabs: phosphates. In any case, the phosphate ban was defeated by a margin of 3 votes. In the same fatty vein, Belgians have long feared that their beloved fries were at risk of an EU ban too. Cooking oil and methods are well regulated in certain cases, but chip stands don't come into it. Here again, the rumours aren't true. So in summary, no, Austrian schnitzel is not in danger from EU regulations. Your snacks are safe.
Oh my goodness, anyone hungry after all that? I certainly am. Well, that is all we have time for on this edition of the Europe Report. Roxanne and I off to taste some of her protected origin products in a minute, I think. Before we do, though, let's give you a reminder. The big voting day in the European Parliament election will be Sunday. I will be with you at 8 p.m. Paris time as the French exit poll is revealed. And then from 9 p.m. onwards, I and the Europe team will be with you non-stop all night. We'll have guests from across the EU, from all around the political spectrum. We'll have live results updates, analysis, and plenty more. Hope to see you then. For now, do stay tuned to France 24.